abilities, to telepath messages through the vast unknown.
All right, howdy, hi there, thrill seekers. That was a little sneak preview of a video I'm going to be working on over the next few days. Shot entirely on location in Europe, and there's Ziggy. So I am back in California, and there's a fire going on the mountain behind me, which you can't see, but it's Mount Baldy. And they got a fire there called the Bridge Fire, and they've ordered evacuations up there in Mount Baldy Village, and they've said they probably won't evacuate the area that I'm in, but we should still remain vigilant or something like that. So let's hope for the best. So what I thought I would do here today is a couple of things. One is that an interview I did with a podcaster called Guru Viking and my friend Shozan Jack Haubner, who does the YouTube channel Zen Confidential. I always have trouble remembering that. That's gone live today. I believe it was the first day. Maybe it came out yesterday. I can't remember. Anyway, that's a really good interview. It's almost 2 hours long, so if you want to see something substantial from me, go look at that. Don't look at this, because this is... What are you doing, Ziggy? Are you just sitting there? You're just sitting there looking at things. Yeah, this is going to be sort of an insubstantial piece of fluff video that I'm just putting mainly to call attention to the fact that this Guru Viking video is out there, and it's with me and Shozan Jack Haubner, and it's pretty good. So go take a look at that. I will leave a link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching somewhere else, I don't know, I'll see what sort of a link I can put on screen, but it's so long I won't be able to put the whole link. But anyway, it's called Guru Viking, so go look up Guru Viking. Anyhow, so what I thought I would do is to just sort of make something a video, and this might be interesting to people, I don't know. It's I thought I'd sort of recap what I did over the past month that I've been away. And so it's something I've been doing every year since 2009. In 2009, I got invited by a guy named Markus to come to Finland and give some talks because my book Hardcore Zen had recently, I think maybe a year before, been published in a Finnish version, and he was excited about it and he wanted to bring me over to Finland. And he wasn't the first person who had asked me to come and do events in Europe, but he was the first person who had some idea of how to work the logistics of it, particularly the finances, because I'm not independently wealthy, and so jetting off to Europe for not even knowing whether I was going to get paid for anything that I was going to do over there, and then staying over there for a bunch of time didn't sound too appealing to me, but he figured out a way to finance the trip. And so ever since then, I've been going to Europe every year. And this year was no different. I've been trying to make it shorter because I'm getting old and it's tough to do these long trips. The longest one I did was, I think, a little bit over 2 months. It was almost like 10 weeks of touring around Europe. But this time I did about a little bit more than 3 weeks, a little bit less than a month. I don't know exactly the number of days I did, but I basically did 3 retreats. One in Finland, in Lami, Finland. One in Benedictus Hof, which is a former Benedictine monastery in Bavaria, in Germany. And one in Hebden Bridge, England. Or if we want to count it like they taught us in Inglourious Bastards, we should count it this way if we're in Europe, because we'll give ourselves away as Americans if we do it that way. That was what I learned from Inglourious Bastards. So what do I do? Maybe you're asking yourself. Well, I always try to get to Finland a few days early, because Finland is... I've worked on these trips, and through trial and error, I've figured out that it's best for me to go to Finland first and end in England, and this is because of the time difference, because there's a 3-hour or 2-hour time difference. Yeah, 2 hours. 2 hours time difference between England and Finland, and if I went the other way around, which I have done, the retreats starting earlier and earlier and earlier, so the jet lag that earlier in my perception of time, and so it just becomes impossible to deal. So I do it this way. So I go to Finland first, and I got to Turku, Finland. Turku, Finland has become my go-to place. I used to go to Helsinki, but Turku, it seems like, works out a little better. It's a slightly closer to the retreat center in Lami, which is the place that we do our retreats in. And I know more people who live in Turku than I know who live in Helsinki. So that's, it just worked out that way. So I get to Turku, and I get to go to Veggie Walk, which is or VG Walk, which is my favorite place to eat in Turku, because they're a vegetarian Thai restaurant, and I think I've got like I know they have at least 3 locations in the city of Turku, and maybe more, and they're real nice, and so that was fun. And I also get to check out the record store, so I've written them down in case you're a record person. My favorite 2 places for record shopping in Turku are Alpha, ALFA, which is a bookstore and record store. I think they're more they sell more books than records, but I was trying to figure this out. Oh, maybe that's something going on with the. No, that's probably not the fire. It's probably a cop. Anyway, Alpha is great. The books are maybe about a third of the books are in English. Especially this is true in the sections I usually like to shop, which are the music biography sort of sections and the movie sections. And those books tend to be not almost all, but mainly in English. More English than Finnish, I think. So I like that place, and what I found there this time, my friend Sonia, who's Finnish, but she grew up. A lot of people in Finland are because Finland. The Finnish history is very complicated, and I don't pretend that I'm going to be able to give you accurate information. But Finland was at one time part of Sweden, and a lot of Finnish people speak Swedish. And Sonia grew up speaking Swedish, and she found this for me. Because I was talking to her about, I'd been in Sweden, and I'd found the Swedish editions where Sweden had republished their old Mad magazines. Like, these are complete issues of Swedish Mad magazine, all collected in book format. And she found this one for me in the Swedish section of Alpha, which for €7.50, which is pretty cheap. And she helped me find these from a Swedish used bookstore, so I ordered these online. This is the 1964-65 issues of Mad in Swedish, and whoa, jeez, I dropped everything. And the 1961, that was the first year that Mad was published in Sweden. So that's pretty cool. The Mad magazine does not publish anything like that in English, and I love these old Mad magazines, and it's kind of, I think, I'm an idiot, so I think it's kind of neat to have them in Swedish, even though I can't read a word of Swedish. Yeah, so, and then this one, I had to carry this one into Germany with me, and I was kind of, I don't think there's anything specifically to be worried about, but if I would have been like displaying this, they might have said something to me. I don't know. I don't think it's actually illegal, but it's a little bit distasteful. So, best record store. So that's my favorite. And then my second favorite is now, there's one I haven't visited a lot. It's called, I'm not even sure how we were supposed to pronounce the name of this place. 8 Raita. 8 and Raita. And they're a really good record store there in Turku. So I then did a talk at, God, I can't remember the name of the place. The name translates to something like schoolhouse, because it used to be a schoolhouse in Turku, and then it was changed into a bar, and they sometimes have live events and have people speaking there. So I've spoken there before, and I put a clip of that on this YouTube channel while I was in Finland, and a couple of people complained about the sound. And you know what? Here's the world's smallest violin. I hope you can hear the sound of that, and it's playing just for you, who were so upset by the sound quality of that video, because it was fine. You could hear every word I said perfectly clearly. Yes, there's a little bit of music going on because the other side of the bar was still being a bar, and then the side we were on had me talking, so you could hear the music spilling over from there in the background very faintly, and people were complaining about that and saying it was unlistenable. You know what? Boo. Boo hoo hoo. Really, seriously. As a guy who's, I spent my teenage years listening to Beatle bootlegs because I was so into the Beatles that were like, they're like 10th generation tapes and stuff, and you're just going, oh wow, is that the Beatles singing that? I hear a candle burning, a flame to the sky. One of my favorite Beatles outtakes was called Candle Burns, and I found out later it wasn't even the Beatles. It was some other unknown band, but because of the quality of the tape, it was so bad and multi-generation, and it kind of sounds like the Beatles style, and it sort of sounds like John Lennon singing, but it isn't. It's somebody else. Anyway, so yeah, I love that stuff. And so if you're going to complain about a little bit of background noise in the video, boo-hoo. So then I did a retreat in Lami, Finland, at the Lami Zen Center. And Lami is way out in the middle of nowhere. I really don't know, in Finnish terms, how they think of it, how remote they think of it, because there's places in Finland that are way more remote than Lammi. But as an American, it felt like it was in the middle of the wilderness. It always does. And it's a disused schoolhouse that's been refurbished as a Zen center by a woman named Karen. I don't remember Karen. I'm sorry, Karen, if you're watching. I don't remember your last name. But she is a Zen master in the Sambo Kyodan tradition, and she's American. And she and her people put this thing together and made a retreat center out of that. So we had, that was my first retreat. It was pretty lightly attended. People said it was because I chose to do it in August this year, and everybody's on holiday in August. So, there were, I don't know, I'll show a picture of it on screen right now, a picture of the retreat participants, and you can count the number of faces in there because I neglected to do that before I started the video. But memory says it was like 17 people, 15 people, I don't know. Usually there's between 20 and 30 people, so it was a little bit light, but that was actually kind of nice because it made it more intimate and stuff. And then next year I'm going to do it in September, so we should probably have more people there then. So the next thing I did was travel to Munich, or München, Germany, and that is where Annetta Mann lives, and she is the person who has been setting up these retreats for me. I did them on my own for the first few years, and I always made a mess of it, and she offered to step in and start, organizing the logistics and stuff for me, and she's done a terrific job. She lives in Munich, so I went there and stayed in. She lives in this kind of funny apartment building that's a kind of a collective. These people got together and designed and built their own dream apartment complex, and it's pretty neat. One of the things they put in there, which your normal apartment complex doesn't have, is I think there's 2 or 3 apartments that are kept vacant and made available for cheap for people to rent if their friend wants to stay with them. And they put up some Ukrainian refugees in them one year, I remember hearing. So I stayed there and went to my favorite record stores in Munich. My favorite is M2 Music, which is the most sort of comprehensive record store that's got lots of used stuff and good prices, but they don't open till 3 in the afternoon, and they close at like 6, so they only open for like 3 hours a day, and not even every day of the week. I think it's like Wednesday through Saturday or some crazy thing. So I like that place. Also, another one I liked is Optimal. Optimal is much more organized and neat, and they have new records as well as used, and I can usually find something good in Optimal. And then the other one I kind of forgot about, and then this year I went and revisited them again. It's called Docks, and they're closer to Marienplatz, which is the sort of center of the city. And they're good. They're like a 2-story place. They have a main floor, and then they have this basement where they keep mostly CDs, But I found some cool stuff in there. I'm not against CDs. A lot of record people hate CDs, but I think some CDs are really good. And I got the reissue of the first Status Quo album, the one with pictures of Matchstick Men, which I think I'm probably going to try to attempt a cover of pictures of Matchstick Men for this video channel. So you can look forward to that. That'll be fun. And yeah, so I got that down there, and they also had a copy of the Scorpions' Virgin Killer in the original cover, which I advise you do not look up the original cover of Scorpions' Virgin Killer on Google, because they'll probably put you on a watch list or something, because it's pretty obscene. But when I was in England, which is what I'm going to tell you about next, I managed to find the second cover. They replaced, because so many people got offended by the first cover, that they quickly replaced it with this one. And this is rare, because this is actually the German one. So even Germans were upset by this cover. A lot of people think it was just the Americans, and other people were upset by the cover. But even in Germany, they had to replace the cover, and this is the first version. And you can tell, because it's got this weird sort of cursive, like fake cursive font when typing out the song titles and credits and things, and then they replaced that with a more normal one later on. But I got this in England because I didn't I just didn't want to buy the original cover. It was really expensive for one thing, and it's kind of gross. Really, don't look it up. So I did that in Munich, and then I went to Benedictus Hof, which is about a 3-hour drive from Munich. So we drove 3 hours over there and did this retreat, which is a 5-day retreat, which means it is sort of a half day. We started in the evening of the first day, 3 full days, and then a half day from the early morning wake up, which is like 6 in the morning, or 5:50 in the morning, until about noon. That's the last day, and then we go back for another 3-hour drive back to Munich. So that was fun. And then I had this problem because we were unable to schedule the Hebden Bridge retreat right after the Munich retreat. So there was 5 days where I'm just so I spent like 3 days wandering around Munich with nothing particular to do but go to record stores, and then 2 more days in Hebden Bridge, England, again with nothing much to do but hang out and go to record stores, which gosh, I forgot to bring down the name of the guy. I'll put it on the screen. There is a guy who sets up a little record booth, and I'm putting his name on the screen here because I've forgotten what it was. And he runs it, I think, on Fridays? Is it Fridays? No, maybe it's Thursdays. I don't know. Anyway, one day a week he sets up this little record booth, and he had these. He had the LP versions of the Beatles anthology 1 and 2, and this one even includes little, I don't know what you call this, is the thing they stuck on the back to make it stand out in the racks, and it's got pictures and stuff. And then they've got a little magazine attachment that doesn't come in the American version. You can see it here. I haven't taken it out of the shrink wrap, and you can see the price says £35 each, but he said he'll give me both for £40. And go look these up on Discogs and find out how much they cost, or eBay. I got a bargain on these things, because like £40 wouldn't, for 2 of them, wouldn't have even been enough to buy one of them on Discogs or eBay. So I did that, and then I had a retreat in Hebden Bridge, which was, let's see, I guess we call them a 4-day retreat instead of a 5-day. So it's beginning of the evening on the first day with a public talk that people can come in if they want to. Then 2 full days, then up till noon, from the morning wake up until noon on the final day of the 4th day, number 4, which is the same format as Finland. So that's sort of my normal format. The Benedictus Hof ones are longer. So yeah, did I say? Favorite record stores in Hebden Bridge? Well, there's a place called Valley Records. In the last 2 years I've been to Hebden Bridge, it's not been open. Like, it's open. It's technically not. It's not out of business or anything, but their opening times are so. I don't understand when they're open, because I showed up there at, like, let's say 2:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday or Thursday or something like that, a time when you definitely expect it to be open, and they weren't open. So I didn't get to go there. It's a real small place. Sometimes they got a lot of fun stuff in there, but last 2 years I haven't been able to see what they've got in there. I just see what's taped to the windows. And then the best place to successfully find records in Hebden Bridge is called Hebden Bridge Antiques Center. And they have a selection of records upstairs. They got a little room that's mostly records, CDs, and stuff, and books and things like that. And that's where I got the Scorpions. So I didn't get the Scorpions in Germany. I got the Scorpions in England for £15 for this one, so I thought that was pretty cool. So that's it. I don't know if there's anything to tell you about the retreats. They were pretty ordinary as retreats go. Nothing really spectacular happened. The only thing sort of interesting that happened at each of the retreats is I shot a little bit of video for the video that I'm working on, that I put a little preview up of at the beginning of this video. It's going to be for the song Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft, which I worked on and I recorded before I went to Europe, and then we sort of lip-synced it with various teams from the groups who were there, and it was a lot of fun. It was a little bit too much fun, I almost thought, because people were really getting excited about being in this video, because I basically, the premise is that I'm a UFO cult leader and they're my UFO cult, and so I had the people playing the roles of my UFO cult. Go watch the Guru Viking video if you want something substantial. That's good. That's much better than this. And next week I will work on doing some like actual meaty, or tofu-y if you're a vegetarian, Buddhist topics for you to watch on this video channel like I usually do. So if you want to donate to me doing more of these videos, you can go to the URL that you're seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. And if you're watching on YouTube, there are actually direct links if you don't want to go to that. Anyway, the donations you send are my main way of making a living. I did make money in Europe, but it's not enough to live on for the whole year, so your donations really help, and I appreciate that. But as always, you don't got to donate if you don't want to. All right, our good friend Ziggy, who you already saw in the beginning of the video, there he is. Let's get a close-up of Ziggy. How you doing, Ziggy? Are you glad to have me back? Are you glad I'm back? You were really excited when I came back on Wednesday night, weren't you? Yeah, you were. All right, let's go inside and edit the video now. Okay, oh, what's going on with your leg? You got like a scratch on it. I'm going to go check that scratch on his leg. Okay, bye.